As the first rays of the sun starts to shine, a Viking nobleman named Gorm wakes to the rooster crowing. Rising from a simple straw mattress, he looks out over the longhouse where 30 people live under his roof and protection. The day starts with the Vikings washing and grooming themselves, because this is not merely a personal endeavor, but a ritualistic expression of identity and pride. Gorm meticulously braids his beard and hair, adorning them with intricate metal clasps and beads, each telling a story of conquest and heritage. His wife dresses with all her jewelry, her key to the treasure chest and a special knife, showing her status at the very top. Many of the free women working for the Jarl now begins to prepare the first meal of the day, while other free people tend to the animals. The 4 slaves at the farm have already started their work, building a new stable for the horses. They do all the hard work on the farm. All their names have been erased, and they've been given new, highly derogatory names, obviously to make a statement of them being firmly at the bottom of society. 3 of Gorm's slaves are called Stinky, Moron, and Stupid, but the 4th slave is called by his Irish birth name, Cormac. He has been with Gorm for over 16 years and is the nobleman's favorite. He has never complained or made any escape attempts, so he will be sent to the market to sell some of the goods Gorm has. He even gets to retain a small portion of the proceedings, and he is therefore very unpopular with the 3 other slaves. He hopes to one day be manumitted or save up enough money to buy his freedom, and knows that his best chance to achieve this is to be popular with his owner Jarl Gorm. All free people now sit down at their seat and eats. The rank of each free person is reflected in how close they sit to the Jarl and his wife. Although he has been very close to losing his life a couple of times as a sacrifice to the Norse gods by the very superstitious Vikings.
Chieftain Olav and his men should have been home from the raid over a month ago. It's very strange that you haven't done anything to try to get them home.
No, but all that stuff is up to Odin and the gods to decide. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
We could at least have sacrificed some slaves.
Yes, but then I will take an executive decision and say that's what we do.
Great. Come on.
Who believed that Odin needed a sacrifice to turn things around, he somehow was always saved at the last moment.
Odin, receive our 3rd sacrifice.
I mean, you've sacrificed 2 slaves already. You're not worried that the gods are going to think that you're trying too hard, that it's...
I think we just move on.
Okay, yes. Of course, it is. Thought I'd mention it, I mean...
During the meal, Gorm allocates what everybody is going to do today. His eldest son, Valur, will check out the rabbit traps they have put out and see if they can find a deer or an elk to hunt. His younger brother, Raffin, will go fishing with 2 other free men, while his 2 daughters will help the other women, making yarn, clothes, and food, and the men left on the farm will work the fields. It's a special day for the Jarl's daughter, Astrid. She has just turned 12 and thus is considered an adult, and there will be a great celebration for her introduction to womanhood. But also because she has survived her childhood, something 50% of the children born in Viking society didn't do. There are also 2 guests staying at Gorm's home, a skald who entertains in the evening with his stories and poetry, and a blacksmith who's forging axes, knives, and swords for the Jarl. They are both handsomely paid and always sit close to the Jarl at the dinner table, reflecting their importance. The slaves are given some of the leftovers from breakfast, except for Cormac, who gets a nice piece of bread and some fish before leaving for the market. The fishermen are out in a boat, checking the fish traps they have put out, but unfortunately they have only caught 3, which is less than they hoped for, but they are able to catch a few salmons with their fishing net. These salmons will be used to make rackfisk, where the fish is seasoned and buried in the ground to ferment for 2 to 3 months, or even up to a year before being eaten. And fermented salmon, or rotten fish, is still a popular dish in the Nordic countries. The hunters have better luck and have caught 5 rabbits with their traps, but also hunted a fully grown deer that will be eaten at the feast later that day, along with a slaughtered pig. The women are spinning wool and making clothes, while some are busy making jewelry while the youngest children are playing. Both girls and boys are taught how to use weapons, and their games are an important part to prepare them for Viking life. While the 3 slaves left on the farm are doing backbreaking work, Stupid, the only female slave there, is told to meet with the Jarl, and she knows what that means. She already has a baby where Gorm is the father, but he has not acknowledged the girl as his, and she is therefore also a thrall or slave. At the market, Cormac sells knives, instruments, and other things, and if he gets a good price for the products he sells, he will be rewarded with a small portion of the money. When the men return back, the women begin preparing the food for the celebration later that evening, while Astrid is getting dressed up in her finest clothes. Some of the men gets one of the pigs, slaughters it, and prepare it by turning it around over the fire. The working day is not over for the slaves, though, and while putting up a new plank, Moron loses his grip and falls down, taking a small part of the foundation with him. He is now surrounded by the free men who yell insults and beat him, while some even urinates on him. This is until Jarl Gorm comes out of the house to see what is going on. When told what happened, he orders Moron to be whipped, something his wife does with pleasure. He will not be allowed to sleep inside anymore. He must now sleep with the pigs. The nearest neighbors who are clients of Jarl Gorm and work on land owned by him now comes with food and gifts, both for the Jarl himself, but also to his daughter. As a gift, he brings one of his female slaves to be sacrificed to Odin as a means to grace his daughter with good fortune in life. She is ritually sacrificed by the Crown, a witch doctor that has been brought there for the occasion. While the guests gathers at the table, fish, deer, and pig meat are served along with vegetables and, of course, Viking ale and mead. Orm the Skald now plays his instrument and performs a great kvad for Astrid, telling of her fearlessness, intelligence, and beauty. He is met with a roaring applause and cheers from his listeners and is given a great sword as a gift by Gorm. Astrid is given all the attention and is congratulated by all the guests, something she enjoys very much. But Jarl Gorm says that they have another thing to celebrate and tells Cormac to come up and stand beside him, something that's very unusual. Gorm praises Cormac and for his loyal service through 16 years, he will from this day on be manumitted. He will no longer be a thrall, but a free man. Well, I'm using freedom in a relative term here, because even though free, he will still have to work for the Jarl. But he will be given a better bed. He can sit at the table with the others, though his placement reflects his low status, and he will be eating much better food. He also now has more rights, though not as many as a fully free person, and is given a small bag of silver coins. The festivities continue throughout the evening with games and good stories. Orm the Skald now performs a derogatory kvad about one of the guests, Gunnar, saying he had behaved cowardly during their last raids in Ireland. Upset by this insult, Gunnar, who is very drunk, challenges Orm to a holmgang to the death the next morning.
Så I hvert fall så tenkte jeg at jeg ville utfordre deg til en holmgang.
Hva? Holmgang?
Jarl Gorm intervenes and says that the holmgang will be to first blood, not to death, since he has no intention of loosing either a skald or a valuable client of him. Realizing that Gunnar probably is a much greater fighter than him, Orm offers a financial compensation instead, something the insulted Gunnar agrees to. After this little hiccup, the party continues, and a nobleman, Thorstein, sees an opportunity and asks Jarl Gorm for his daughter's hand in marriage to his son, 15-year-old Bjarni, something Gorm accepts. This will not only bring the father closer to the Jarl, but she will also come with a huge dowry. Even though Astrid doesn't particularly like Bjarni, she will do her duty and marry him, and become an important and powerful woman in her own rights. As the fire dies down and the guests are drunkenly falling asleep, A long day at Gorm's farm is over. Remember to smash that subscribe button as if you were a Viking berserker, and please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel with the algorithms. And I hope to see you in the next one.